Welcome to Papa's Workshop. Spring is almost here, and I want to work in the garden. Several years ago, I did a lot of gardening, and I did quite a bit of hydroponics. Well, today I want to take a gutter downspout and turn it into a garden, so I can grow a whole lot of lettuce. This gutter downspout was laying out in the backyard behind the shed. And so it's all dirty and filthy, but I'm going to turn this into a productive garden. Now this is a 10-foot length of downspout. So 4 pieces, that means I can get 30 inches each out of this section. So at the miter saw, I set this fence up for my 30 inches. Now I have a measurement right at 28 inches, so literally all I had to do was add 2 inches to and lock my stop block in place. And then from there, I can just cut all 4 of them. Now the PVC does throw off a lot of chips, so it's a really good idea to have a good dust collection to capture as much as possible. Now this hose I just set up temporarily. My old dust collection is needing to be replaced. I need to be able to close up the ends on this. Now I've got really 2 different methods. One, I could just heat this up and close it down, or the other way, I could make some caps that I could silicone on to each end, and that would work well too. And that way, when it comes time to clean these again, I'll be able to just pull that off, clean everything out, and then silicone it back on. So I'm going to use a CNC to be able to cut this line right here and be able to make it where it'll just slip on. Let me show you how I'm going to be able to create this pattern and be able to get it to the CNC machine. So it's off to the computer, and I decided to use easel. When I open up the easel, I'm going to create a new project. The first thing I'm going to do is just go to the shapes menu and draw out a square. And then from there, I'm going to measure and get as close as possible to the correct size that I can. Now I can grab the little handles and I can pull and stretch to get it to size, but what I want to do is just go ahead and type in the exact amount. Now looking at this, it looks like it's about 2 3/8 by about, looks like 3 inches. So that is what I'm going to start with. So it's back to the computer, and I want to go ahead and put that measurement into the computer and get the correct size. At this point, I have a rectangle, but also have a pocket. I don't need a pocket. I need to be able to cut this really on path. So I'll just open up this window on the Cuts tab, and I'm going to select the cut on the path. That way it'll give me exactly what I'm looking for, and I'm not going to have this pocket. Now I'm using an 1/8 inch bit to be able to do this, and this should work just fine. I also have now square corners. I also needed to be able to put a radius on this. Now just to guess, it looks like it's about close to 1/2 inch as far as the radius. I want to show you a more accurate way though to get the correct radius, so this will work very precisely. Now I need to be able to get this radius as close as I can to being accurate. Guessing is really not good enough. What I will do is just take this on a piece of wood and trace this all the way around. And that's now more than 90 degrees. And I'm going to take my square, form a line on both sides to be able to find that intersection. And that intersection is right here. And looks like it's going to be right about there. And that actually sets up so I can see my actual radius. All I need to do now is measure this from the center of the circle out. So that's actually 5/8 of an inch. So going back over into easel, let me highlight this project. And on the radius, I had set it up for 1/2 inch. Now that wouldn't be enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this now and put it in at 0.625, and that will give me the correct radius. Now this is gonna cut on path, and as far as the depth of cut for this first test, it's only going to cut down, let's just cut down 0.1 of an inch. That will be plenty to be able to test out and see if it will work. If it doesn't, we'll make the adjustments and then we'll carve another one. For the test carve, I'm just going to use a scrap piece of plywood. Now this particular plywood is a 1/2 inch, which that really doesn't matter. I'm only cutting down 0.1 of an inch. But this will give me a real good test. If it's off a little bit, I'll make the adjustments and then I'll cut and make another test. To me right now, it looks like it's a little bit wide. So we'll see in just a moment. So the carving is now finished and I want to just get the CNC machine out of the way so that I can take the downspout and see if it'll fit into this slot. Yes, it's a little bit wide. So now let's go back to the computer, make the adjustment, and we'll do another test. Now, so this ended up being about 1/8 of an inch wide. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and copy this and paste it over. So copy, and we will paste it. We'll slide this over just a little bit. And then we'll look at the width of this. Now this was at 2.375, so that actually was a little bit too big. I'm going to change the width of this to 2¼ inches. And that will give me my new shape. I'm going to go ahead and put a box. And I'm going to come up here to my shapes. And I am just going to make this bigger, slide this down so it will cover it up, change the cut on this all the way to 0. And now the only thing that will cut out is this one. So let's go ahead and cut this one out and let's see if it will fit correctly. I had two choices to be able to make sure that that first one didn't carve a second time. One, I could have just deleted it. But the other thing is I wanted to be able to show you by putting the rectangle over it, setting it to a 0 cut depth, that creates the same situation and it won't duplicate and carve that first one again. So all it's doing is carving our second test and it's putting it in exactly the position that we want. Now that this is done, let's again move the router out of the way and let's test it and see if it's going to fit. And if it doesn't, I've got plenty more room on this plywood. We can do a lot of tests, but hopefully that's not going to be necessary. Okay, let me grab the downspout and let's see if it fits in there. And yeah, that is perfect. That is exactly what we want to be able to do. So test is successful. Now I need to be able to go ahead and set it up with the PVC. And of course I need this to cut out. So we're going to have to go back to the computer and do a little bit of additional design work. I have several scrap pieces of this PVC and that's what I'm going to use to cut this out with. And to do that, you need to be able to have a good set of calipers, because I want to be able to measure the thickness of this material. So I have it in inches, and I'm just going to go ahead and measure this. And that's 0.756 of an inch. 753 over here. 742. So 753 should be a good measurement to be able to use to be able to cut all the way through this. Now to be able to do this, it's going to take several pieces of the scrap material to be able to cut all the ones that I need. See, here's another scrap piece that I can get a couple out of here, and we'll do that. And we'll see how far we can get. I went ahead and deleted this one, but I want to go ahead now and come up to the Shapes menu, and we're going to pull out another square. Now I know this is 3 inches, so I'm going to make it about a 1/2 inch larger, and I know this width is 2 1/4. So what I want to do is just go ahead and change the width of this to 3.25. And we're going to make the length of this 4 inches, or for the height. We also are going to have the radius and I'm going to make a much smaller radius. I'm going to make a radius of 0.25. And I do want to cut this on the outside. So I'm going to go to the Cuts menu, and I want to be able to click on the cut path, and I want this to cut on the outside. Over on this side, I do need to change this material thickness to 0.753. So that is done. This distance, I'm going to cut this at 0.2 because I do want it deeper to be able to accept that silicone rubber that I put in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and take both of these and center them. We'll use 2 tabs. Being on each side will be fine. We have this set at the depth that I want to cut it at the 0.2 inches. It's all going to be cut on a the PVC material with the 1/8 inch bit. Let's get the size of the material and let's see how many we can cut. So the actual size of the material that I have is 8.25 inches and 9 inches. So 9 inches on the x-axis, 8.25 inches. So let's see how many I can get. Will I be able to get 4 this way? Is that going to be enough? And put that right there. And then we'll take these 2. Rotate this one 90 degrees. And yes, I can do it. So that will work good. So let's go ahead and get the machine set up. We'll get this clamped down and we'll get ready to carve these out. Okay, I have everything set up. This is my XY0 position. I've got it all Z'd and I'm ready to be able to carve. Now, I am going to attach the dust boot on here because the PVC does throw an awful lot of chips around and I really don't want that. And everything's been tested, so I know that it's going to work. So as it begins carving, one of the things that happened is that the brush started to come loose on the back side. So I had to pause the machine and take that off. And then I just hit resume and continued on. So yes, indeed, crazy things do happen in my shop also, just like everybody else's shop. But in the end, this project turned out really nice. These are absolutely perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to be able to accomplish. They fit into the gutter downspout exactly the way that I want them to. And all I will need to do, of course, clean these gutters up, drill the holes into it so that I can put the plants in, and then I'll just silicone the ends on. So this is going to work nice. But in the meantime, I'm taking this other scrap, I'm laying these pieces out to see if I can make it fit. And then I match that over onto the computer screen. And now I'm ready to be able to carve it. So at this point, the brush is back on, it's doing good, and it's carving out the remaining of these. I do need to drill the holes into this. I'm going to drill a pilot hole first, and then I'm going to take the hole saw and drill a 2-inch hole into this gutter. Now, I'm measuring these 4 inches apart, and that will give me 7 different holes. So that's going to hold quite a few plants for each of these 4 gutters that I'm making. Now this process actually goes real quick, and once this is done, then I'm going to take it and clean these out really good inside and out. I think it was going to be a whole lot easier to be able to wash inside and out with the holes already drilled, and of course with these at the 30-inch length. Couldn't do that very well on a 10-foot piece of downspout. Now that all the holes are cut on this first one, I'm going to slip the ends in just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. I think this is going to be perfect. Now back to the CNC machine. This is doing a good job and it's cutting out exactly the way that I wanted it to, and this will give me the remaining pieces that I need. Here they are, all finished. and I scrubbed them down inside and out as well as I could. And yeah, there's still some stains on them, but that's okay. I don't think the plants are going to care. The last step is to put the silicone onto the ends and put the plants in it. Now I went ahead and rearranged on the computer so that in the future, should I need to make some more, I do have the small gutter pieces here, and I'm going to label that workpiece as such with the small gutter, and then I will at some point get a large gutter and do this again. Now I'm not turning this into a garden channel, but this project is finished, so I'm not showing you how to put the plants in it. But this will be easy to move the plants inside and out to be able to have the best location for them to grow. So I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for watching today. This was a fun project, and I'm looking forward to have a lot of lettuce to be able to eat. So if you liked the video, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, give me that thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the notification. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next video.